the invisible battle stealing your peace. Stop for a moment and be honest with yourself. How much of your life have you spent living in a day that hasn't even happened yet? You wake up today, but your mind is already in next week. You sit with people you love, but your thoughts are somewhere in the future. You try to rest, but your heart refuses to slow down. Because somewhere deep inside you, there is a constant pressure whispering, "What if something goes wrong?" And slowly, quietly, that voice begins to steal something from you. Not your future, but your peace right now. Then Jesus steps into that chaos and says something that sounds almost impossible. Do not worry about tomorrow. Not reduce worry. Not manage it. Not control it. Do not worry. In a world built on planning, pressure, and prediction, those words feel unrealistic. But what if they're not unrealistic? What if they are freedom? Because the truth is this: you are exhausting yourself fighting battles that haven't arrived. You are grieving outcomes that may never happen. You are carrying weights God never asked you to carry. And while you're busy trying to survive tomorrow, you are missing the grace that exists today. So tonight, we're not going to cover this with shallow encouragement. We're going deeper. We're going to expose worry for what it really is and uncover the truth that Jesus was actually giving you. Because when he said, "Do not worry about tomorrow," he wasn't giving advice. He was offering you a way out. Number one, Jesus said it, and he meant it. These words are not just inspiration. They are not motivational quotes you scroll past. They are not optional teachings for stronger believers. This is Jesus speaking directly into real life. In the middle of the Sermon on the Mount, surrounded by ordinary people, workers, parents, people struggling just to survive day by day, he looks at them and says, "Do not worry about tomorrow." Think about that. He didn't say this to people with savings accounts. He didn't say this to people with security and stability. He said it to people living on daily bread, which means this command is not disconnected from reality. It was spoken into pressure, into uncertainty, into fear. And that changes everything. Because Jesus is not naive. He understands stress. He understands pain. He understands what it feels like when life is uncertain. And still, he says, "Do not worry." That means something powerful. Worry is not as uncontrollable as you think. It feels natural. It feels responsible. It even feels necessary. But Jesus treats it like something you can refuse. Not because tomorrow doesn't matter, but because tomorrow does not belong to you. There is a difference between preparation and panic. Preparation says, "I will do what I can today." Panic says, "If I don't control everything, everything will fall apart." Preparation is faithfulness, but panic is fear, pretending to be wisdom. Jesus is not attacking your responsibility. He is exposing the deeper issue. A heart that constantly expects the worst. A mind that keeps replaying disaster. A soul that never rests because it's always bracing for impact. And then he shifts your focus, not to your problems, but to your Father. Because if God is truly your Father, then your future is not in chaos. It's in his hands. And when Jesus says, "Do not worry," he's not putting pressure on you. He's lifting it off. You were never meant to carry tomorrow. Number two, worry is a fight for control. Let's be honest. Worry doesn't feel like fear. It feels like control. It feels like you're doing something. Like you're preparing. Like you're protecting yourself from what might happen. But if you look deeper, worry is not control. It's the illusion of control. Because no matter how many times you replay the situation in your mind, no matter how many what-if scenarios you imagine, You still can't change tomorrow. You can't predict it. You can't secure it. You can't guarantee anything about it. And yet, your mind keeps trying. Why? Because deep down, worry is your heart saying, if I think about it enough, I can prevent it. But that's not faith. That's fear, trying to take God's place. Worry is exhausting because you are trying to sit in a seat that was never yours. The seat of control, the seat of knowing, the seat of what happens next. And every time you try to sit there, you feel overwhelmed because you are not designed to carry that weight. That's why Jesus points you away from control and toward trust, because there are only two ways to live. You either believe that everything depends on you, or you believe that God is already ahead of you. Worry says, I need to figure this out before it happens. Faith says, God is already there before I arrive. And this is where everything shifts. Because the moment you realize you don't have to control tomorrow, you can finally breathe today. You can finally rest without needing answers, without needing guarantees. Because peace doesn't come from knowing the future. It comes from knowing who holds it. And when you hold on to control, you lose peace. But when you release control, you don't lose anything. You gain something far greater. Trust. Number 3, you are missing today. Worry doesn't just affect your future. It steals your present. Think about it. How many times have you been physically somewhere, but mentally somewhere else? You're sitting with family, but your mind is replaying problems. You're given a moment to rest, but your heart refuses to slow down. You finally have time, but you don't have peace. Because worry has a way of pulling you out of the only place life is actually happening. Right now, Jesus didn't just say, do not worry about tomorrow. He also said something deeper. Each day has enough trouble of its own. In other words, today already has its own weight, its own responsibilities, its own battles. And when you add tomorrow's fears on top of today's reality, you don't become stronger. You become overwhelmed. Worry doubles your burden without adding a single solution. It drains your energy without changing your outcome. And slowly, it begins to rob you of things you can never get back. Moments, conversations, peace, joy. Because while you are trying to survive a future that hasn't come yet, you are missing the life that is right in front of you. And here's the painful truth. One day, the tomorrow you're worrying about will become today. And when that day comes, God will give you the strength you need for it. But right now, He has only given you the strength for this moment. Not next week, not next year, today. That's why worry feels so heavy. Because you are trying to use today's strength to carry tomorrow's problems. And it doesn't work. It never has. Jesus is not trying to limit your life. He is trying to protect it. Because when you live trapped in tomorrow, you lose the only day you actually have. So instead of asking, what if something goes wrong tomorrow? Ask something different. What has God already given me today that I'm not seeing? Because peace is not found in the future. It's found in this moment, when you finally stop running ahead and choose to be here. Number 4, worry reveals what you trust. Worry is not just a habit. It's a signal. It reveals something deeper, something hidden beneath your thoughts. What you truly trust. Because when everything feels uncertain, when life doesn't go the way you expected, when the future looks unclear, your heart will automatically lean on something. Either your own understanding or God's sovereignty. There is no middle ground. That's why worry matters more than you think. It's not just about stress. It's about where your confidence is placed. Jesus makes this clear when he points to something so simple. The birds of the air. They don't store food. They don't plan years ahead. They don't secure their future. And yet, they are sustained, not because they are careless, but because they are provided for. Then he asks a question that cuts straight to the heart. Are you not much more valuable than they? That question changes everything, because if God takes care of something as small as a bird, what does that say about you? Your life is not random. Your future is not forgotten. Your needs are not invisible. But worry makes you live as if they are. Worry whispers, what if God doesn't come through? Faith answers, He always has. Worry says, what if everything falls apart? Faith says, even if it does, God is still in control. This is the real battle, not outside of you, but inside. Because trust is not proven when life is easy. It is revealed when life is uncertain. When you don't have answers. When you can't see the outcome. When you feel like you're losing control. That is the moment your heart chooses fear or faith. And here's the truth most people avoid. Worry feels safe because it gives you the illusion that you're prepared. But trust feels risky because it requires you to let go, to release the need to know, to release the need to control, to release the need to guarantee your own future. But when you do that, you don't fall into chaos. You fall into God's hands, and those hands have never failed. So the next time worry rises, don't just fight the feeling. Ask the deeper question, what am I trusting right now? Because the answer to that question will determine whether you live in anxiety or in peace. Number 5, your future is not empty. One of the deepest reasons you worry is because you imagine the future as unknown, unstable, and unsafe. Your mind keeps painting pictures of what could go wrong. Doors closing, plans failing, loss, pain, things falling apart. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to believe something dangerous. Tomorrow is something I have to survive alone. But that is not the truth. The future is not empty. It is not a dark space waiting to be filled with problems. It is a place that God has already entered. Before you wake up tomorrow, He is already there. Before you face that situation, He has already seen it. Before anything unfolds, He already knows the outcome. And that changes everything, because you are not walking into the unknown by yourself. You are walking into a day that God has already prepared. That doesn't mean life will always be easy. It doesn't mean nothing will go wrong. But it does mean this: nothing you face will surprise Him. Nothing you go through will be outside His control. Nothing that happens will be beyond His ability to carry you through. Worry makes you feel like you are stepping into chaos. Faith reminds you, you are stepping into purpose. Even the things you don't understand, even the moments that feel painful, even the delays and disappointments, God is not absent in those places. He is working in them. That's why Scripture says, He goes before you, not behind you, not reacting to your life, but ahead of you, preparing what you cannot see yet. So when you worry about tomorrow, you are imagining a future without God in it. But that future does not exist, because wherever you go, He is already there. And when you truly understand that, something inside you begins to shift. You stop bracing for impact. You stop expecting the worst. And instead, you begin to walk forward with quiet confidence. Not because you know what will happen, but because you know who is waiting for you when it does. Final, let tomorrow go. So here you are, standing between two choices. You can keep carrying tomorrow, replaying it, fearing it, trying to control it, and slowly losing your peace today. Or you can finally release it. Not because you have all the answers, not because everything makes sense, but because you trust the one who already holds it. Jesus didn't say, "Figure out tomorrow." He didn't say, "Be ready for everything." He said, "Do not worry about tomorrow." That is not a suggestion. It is an invitation to step out of anxiety and into rest, to stop living in a future that doesn't exist yet, and start living in the grace that is right in front of you. Because here's the truth: tomorrow will come, whether you worry or not. But peace only comes when you choose to let go. So tonight, let the questions go. Let the pressure go. Let the fear go. You were never meant to carry it. God is already in your tomorrow, and He is more than enough. So breathe and come back to this moment, because this is where His grace is.